Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a couple of busted end tables and make them look like this. We're going to use this opportunity to refinish these tables and unlock a bunch of woodworking skills. So why don't you hang around and watch this video. I'm going to tell you why I think refinishing furniture is a great way to learn how to do more woodworking.
All right, so you want to get better at woodworking, right? But lumber is expensive. This is why I use all pallet wood in my projects. It's free, and I'm not out any real money if I screw it up or if I make firewood while I'm trying to build something. It's really no big deal. Here's another cheap alternative for you. Furniture. Refinish furniture. Yep, you know, that like old tired, kind of messed up thrift store, curbside, steal your grandmother's coffee table kind of furniture. It's the stuff we're talking about here. Let's talk about why this is a good idea from like learning woodworking. You get better at it by refinishing furniture. First of all, it's cheap. Like $5 at the thrift store cheap. These tables we're working on today, I got two end tables for a grand total of $10. That's $5 a table. That means I can screw it up, I can make firewood out of it, and I'm not really going to go broke, and I'm not really hurting anything. But when you buy this furniture to redo, you get real pieces of furniture, you get real joints, real problems, things you got to fix, things you got to figure out. All it is for like less than the price of a 2x4. So why wouldn't you do that? And you know, I want to learn how to make furniture. I might as well learn how to fix it while I'm at it. And using already existing furniture gets me to take a look at the joints, see how it's put together, get some kind of idea of what the dimensions and the size of these pieces of furniture really should be when I make them myself. I figure I'll develop some real building skills and know-how if I know how to repair them and fix them and refinish it. You know, practice on the stain and the sanding and the painting. Taking furniture apart teaches me how things are supposed to be built. And you see in the video, sometimes like I pause and I tell you guys, I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't know what the right answer is. Like if it should be molding or it should be, you know, some kind of router bit or something. I don't know what it's supposed to be. So messing around with this furniture at least gives me an idea of what it's supposed to look like, or at least a potential option for what it's supposed to look like.
All right, guys. In just the previous part of the video, you saw me square up the tabletop, and now I'm going to attempt to make veneers out of these oak boards that we have. And in order to make veneers, I'm going to need a thin strip jig. Now, lots of people on the internet make this incredibly complicated. It doesn't have to be. Here's a thin strip jig for you. Get your miter gauge. Oh, here, look. Here's a little hack for you. This is duct tape, like the actual metal tape used for duct work, not the gray stuff with the string in it. And this metal tape works perfect for taking the play out of your miter gauge or anything that you have running the groove. You put the metal tape in, it takes the play out, no problem. So in order to make my thin strip jig, I'm going to need a scrap piece of wood, my miter gauge, and some clamps. And you guys know how a thin strip jig works. Is I could take my piece and run the fence up to the thin part that I want and have the thin side on the inside next to the fence. The problem is the closer the fence gets to the blade with that piece that you're trying to cut off in there, the more of a chance of kickback or just getting all bound up. So a thin strip jig allows us to have what's known as a positive stop. So all I have to do is get my wood up to where the positive stop is, move the fence, cut it, move the fence again, cut it, because I'm referencing the thin strip side. Now, I showed you in a previous video, I have this kind of milled up balsa wood, whatever, arts and crafts stuff. This one is 1/8 inch thick. So if you can see that, that's going to make a pretty good veneer top. I'm going to go ahead and cut these 1/8 inch and then just glue up a panel to make the top of that table, make it something nice that I can stain. Now, check this out. You see how this piece of wood, this thickness, falls in between the blade and my, I don't know what that's called, my plate here. See how this piece of wood falls in between the blade and my plate here. I don't have a zero clearance plate right there, but I can just go ahead and take a piece of tape. Here we go. Hack number 2. And there. Now, for the most part, my wood that I cut off isn't going to get stuck in there. So, here's the setup for the thin strip jig. I want to cut it this thick. I'm going to run my, pre-measured board up to the blade. Here's my board. Here's my piece of scrap wood. We're not making anything crazy crooked there. And now I can run my board past the saw, and my thin strip is going to come out right here. And all I have to do is just keep bumping the wood up. So I'm going to take this, run the fence, get it nice and lined up. Actually, I'm going to run them tall. Nice and lined up. Run it through. And the part that's going to cut off is going to be that 1/8. So go ahead and see if that works.
Right here, this is a perfect example of developing new skills. I've never made veneer anything for any piece of furniture ever, and I've never used a thin strip jig. So I need it for this project, and I'm going to figure it out. So those skills right there get unlocked because I'm redoing this furniture. It works out perfect. So here's another great example of something that I never did before, and I didn't even know it was going to work. I needed to be able to cut a couple of extra pieces of veneer for these tabletops, and these scrap pieces were too thin for me to comfortably put them through a table saw. So I did the crazy glue with the activator and paint tape trick, and you know what? It worked great. So now I know next time I need to do something like this, the crazy glue and the activator and the paint tape, it works perfect.
Yeah, that works pretty good. That's a little tiny special attachment, a sander attachment for my oscillating tool from Harbor Freight. That gets in those corners real nice and easy. All right, so here's another part that's probably just going to upset a lot of you actual furniture refinishers. But you see kind of in these little crevices right here where there's a little bit of extra of that stain. I am not going to waste a whole lot of time getting in there. It's about as good as it's going to go. So I'm going to use this liquid sandpaper, which is basically a deglosser. I'm going to wipe the whole thing down, including kind of these leftover stain parts. One, it allows me to just clean the whole piece. It's also going to allow me to have some of this stain left over and just degloss it so it'll accept some kind of paint. My next step after that, I cover the whole thing in shellac to give me a good paint base. And then I'm going to use some black primer to give me one solid color for me to go ahead and paint on top of. I know it's not ideal or the perfect way to do it, but I am a woodworker. That's how I'm going to do it. So don't send me too much hate mail.
All right, so this is the first veneer that's going on a tabletop. I need to find the center of the table, the center of the piece of veneer, line them up, square it all up, glue it down, get it in place so I can build all the other veneers off of it. All right, so on this glue up, I used all the glue, all the clamps, the bar clamps. I made some coals out of some 2x3s so I could keep it all attached and all glued down like, crazy business over here. This glue was everywhere. I definitely used way too much. And now here's a trick that we learned when we were working on that bench last time, to leave the top like as raw as possible and then do all the fixing and do all the repairs and everything you had to do, fill in all the holes and then kind of sand it all together all at once. So we're going to do the same thing here. I got to fill in a hole with some Bondo. We're going to paint over it later. It's going to look fine in the end. Here's that Star Bond, the black crazy glue to fill in the nail holes from the pallet wood. Man, this stuff works great. I like this stuff a lot. And then while it's drying, I think I'm going to go ahead and spray paint everything with the paint sprayer.
All right, you saw just a minute ago, like in the video part with me trying to paint, the paint sprayer, horrible idea. I ruined it. It was too much air, too much paint. The thing was too big. The paint was too thin. I don't even know what happened. So I'm going to go back to old school brush paint and fix the piece so that we can try to get on Facebook Marketplace. But the paint sprayer won this round. So paint sprayer 1, me 0. That skill is not unlocked. All right, guys, here's why I like refinishing furniture as a woodworker. So you saw us redo the whole top here. This is the tabletop for those end tables we're working on. You saw us make the veneers. The veneers look great. They're nice and thick. We sanded them down with the belt sander. We haven't got to finish sanding yet. But here's my issue. I have the veneer tabletop up there ready to go, and then I have this edge. I don't 100% know what to do with this edge. It's not perfect yet. So I'm thinking about sanding it nice and flat or putting in a table saw, getting a perfect edge on it, and then painting this side right here and staining the whole veneer top. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, but here's the moral of the story. Here's a piece of furniture, and I'm obviously not a professional furniture maker or professional anything really, but I just don't know the answer. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I don't know what the traditional thing, the better option. I just don't know. So I'm going to take a chance. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, that's okay too, because I'm out like $10 on these tables. It's not hurting nobody, and I'm getting in my reps and my practice. Let's do that.
If I'm messing with a piece of furniture and it's kind of busted and kind of wobbling, I can glue it, I can screw it, I can fix the joints. I can practice, some mortise and tenon or some splines or something and try to fix it up. And if I do this often enough, if I'm refinishing the furniture and building regular projects, like I said, I'm getting more experience, and then suddenly I'm just kind of better. I'm just kind of improving all the stuff I'm doing. And this is how we make it to woodworking level 2. It's how we level up, how we get those new skills. Unless, of course, that paint sprayer. Screw that paint sprayer. All the reps and everything is great, but it also helps me to develop, I don't know, let's call it reverse engineering design skills, where if I refinish a table or I refinish some end tables, those skills, translate into when I build a table or a bench or some chairs or something from scratch. I kind of have that know-how from seeing it done at one time and then kind of being able to reverse engineer.
All right. So in today's episode of I Suck at Woodworking, this little bit right here is the table saw blade. I was moving too fast. You saw me cutting the tabletops and trying to square them up and take the kind of imperfections off. And I left the table saw running and the blade clipped it. So the theme of our video is kind of like learn woodworking, learn to cover up your mistakes, fix other people's mistakes. So we made our own mistake. Well, you didn't. I did, because I'm a jackwagon. But we're gonna fix it. We got this balsa wood, this craft wood stuff, and it's the perfect size. We're going to glue it, stick it in there, let it set up, and then we'll just cut it away, sand it real nice and flat, and we should be good to go with paint and all that. It didn't hit the veneer. It didn't hit the oak veneer, so lucky days there, right? All right, let's fix it. Yeah, I did it twice because I'm awesome. That crazy glue activator stuff's pretty all right. It works. I'm going to paint it, the bottom. You want to watch? All right, so there's the inside of these drawers. I didn't paint them or nothing because they're kind of like that real fuzzy kind of cardboard. I don't know, press board maybe. I don't know what they are. But we are going to attempt to put in some fancy kind of self-adhesive wallpaper thing in the bottom of it. What I'm trying to tell you is that I use drawer liners as stop pads underneath the piece that I'm working on. And then here I'm going to use some water to raise the fibers on the sanded boards so that I kind of get a closer shave with the new sandpaper. All right, here's real life woodworking. See that wood conditioner? That's oil based. You put it on there so the stain it goes in the wood all even and everything. The problem is I got water-based stain, not oil-based stain. It'll work. You just have to let it dry super good, like for a couple of days. Ha! Look at that. That was easier than I thought. Remember when we were doing the top and I told you we'd put some Bondo in the hole and we are going to paint it? Here's that part. I just used the paint from the table. It came out great. All right, guys, last steps here. We have the top all stained with the 3 coats of golden pecan like you just saw. Now we're just going to put some polyurethane on top to protect it. You're right, we should do that one too. Hey guys, thanks for watching to the end. I really appreciate it. So refinishing furniture to build woodworking skills, right? Seems perfectly reasonable. Seems like something we could do all the time if we wanted to. So those tables right there cost me like $5 a piece. They're already done. They already had all their problems. We got to unlock thin strip jig. We got to unlock veneers. We got to unlock the super glue tape thing, all for practice on that project. Those 3 things might not have come together if I wasn't working on that project anyway. So that's kind of good news, right? That project put those skills out there that we had to go learn because I had never done them before and it worked out perfect. Not the paint sprayer, whatever. But listen, I hope this video inspires you to go ahead and work on other projects. Things like refinishing furniture helps you build your woodworking skills. Sometimes you don't have a project in the queue, or sometimes you're not really working on the next thing you're building in the shop. Why not go get a table or something, refinish it, try to sell it, make some money? That'd be perfectly fine. And then when your next build comes around, that's what you're working on. I don't really have a whole lot of clients. I don't have a whole lot of projects, but I do have sales on Facebook with the stuff I build. So I don't have something working in the shop right now. I redid those tables. I post them on Facebook Marketplace. I'll let you know if they sell, like in a couple of videos or something. But as always, guys, let me know what you're working on. Let me know what projects you're building. Let me know if you're refinishing anything. Let me know what skills you unlock. Go ahead and put it in the comments down below. Do all the like, subscribe, and all that stuff. But more importantly, all those people that you told about the woodworking channel, go tell them now we refinish furniture to unlock woodworking skills. That's like double marketing right there. And thanks again, guys. And as always, let's get this YouTube channel rolling. Thanks, guys.